Call to order the Monday, December 4th, 2023 meeting of the Lake Zurich Village Board. Clerk Johnson, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Boynton,
Here.
Trustee Bobrowski,
Here.
Trustee Euchre,
Here.
Trustee Riley,
Here.
Trustee Spicone,
Present.
Trustee Wider,
Present.
Trustee Shagru is absent and excused.
Alrighty, we have a quorum, so would you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oop, I got the wrong page here. There we go. Put these. Okay, next item on the agenda is a public hearing. Let me find the right page here.
Public comment first.
Public comment, oh, okay, public comment first.
Thank you.
Find the right page. I thought it printed right, but it didn't. Okay. Public comment is an opportunity for residents to comment briefly on matters included on the agenda and otherwise of interest to the Board of Trustees. Public comment is limited to 5 minutes per person and 30 minutes per speaker. If you have any comments regarding the budget, you'll have a separate opportunity to talk about that during the public hearing. So I've got a list here. 2 speakers have signed up. One of them is Jeff Wood. Yes. Jeff, welcome.
Hi, my name is Jeff Wood, and I wanted to come here and talk to you about a topic that's not on the agenda but is of interest to the trustees, which is the Midlothian Manor affordable housing project that's coming up for a vote in January. I do have what I wanted to share with you is there was a survey that was done by Kretschmer and Associates on the lack of affordable housing in Lake County. I don't know if I can give this to you guys, otherwise Sarosh has it and he can pass it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So I just wanted to call your attention real quickly to one of the headline comments that they made in their survey. And you also have the detailed survey that Sarosh will share with you. There's lots of graphs and statistics that I think you'll find particularly interesting, especially for southern Lake County where there's an acute shortage of affordable housing. And I read this article and I thought it'd be helpful. It says, in order for Lake County to attract and retain residents and businesses, it must have a diverse housing stock that provides options for households at different life stages, ages, incomes, and sizes. Needs a greater diversity beyond owner-occupied, single-family, detached homes. The lack of housing will limit the county's ability to attract and retain workers, particularly with an aging population and projected decline in the working age population. So I thought that that was interesting. And then one of the other comments was there's a demand for 7,900 units in Lake County for seniors and families, especially in the south subregions, which have limited options they can afford. I just wanted to share with you that there is a broad coalition that's supporting this initiative. It's been really interesting to be on kind of this working group. We have Democrats and we have Republicans. We have Protestants and we have Catholics. We have people who like Chipotle. We have people who like Taco Bell. I'm kidding, guys. Chipotle's in the audience. So, but all kidding aside, we have business owners, we have workers, we have people early in their career that just graduated from college, and we have seniors that are all supporting this. And I would just like, I understand there's some heated rhetoric around this, concerned residents, but I'd just like you to step back, look at some of this data, see what you want to do as being a compassionate community, and just consider it if you would. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wood. Paul Virgilio, welcome.
Good evening, trustees, Mayor Poynton. I appreciate the opportunity to speak here And I, like Jeff, am here to express my personal support of the proposed development of the affordable housing project at the Midlothian Manor facility that is currently in unincorporated Lake County. My wife and I have lived in the same house on Echo Lake Road, about a block and a half from Midlothian Manor, for the last 34 years. We have raised 6 children at that house, and we've seen a tremendous amount of change and growth in Lake Zurich. Now, while it's not in Lake Zurich, if I walk straight out my front door, I walk about 100 feet and I am in Lake Zurich, directly across the street from the Lake Zurich Sunset subdivision. Now, one thing that attracted us to the area was kind of the beauty at first, but then we got involved. We've been parishioners at St. Francis since we've lived here. Our 4 older children went to St. Francis and then also attended Carmel High School. We have 2 children that we've been parents of for the last 7 years, who grew up in Lake Zurich in the manor, and then for the last 7 years have lived with us and have attended Seth Payne Middle School North and Lake Zurich High School. Our youngest daughter is currently a sophomore at Lake Zurich High School. So we're very familiar with all that Lake Zurich has to offer. And one of the things that's kept us in this community is the spirit of the community, the volunteerism in the community and the service level in the community. I've been on the parish council at St. Francis. My wife was the president of the Soccer Association for 10 years. We're both ministers of care. Not to talk about what we've done, but what that's given us an opportunity to meet and really get a good flavor of the spirit of the community of Lake Zurich. Again, we're not in Lake Zurich, we're right across the street. And one of the things that came up when I attended the zoning hearing was there was a question that came up about, well, who benefits? And one of the first things I thought of was, well, the 24 families who would live in this development would certainly benefit, because I know firsthand what it's like to live in this community. It's remarkable. But then I thought, well, you know, on the flip side of that is from the standpoint of, if you look at it from a workforce housing type of development, it's a business proposition as well. I've been involved in a couple of different projects way out west in Vail, but they have a similar type of issues that they can't attract labor because it's so expensive to live in the community of Vail, with housing prices being what they are around the resort. So their emphasis now is that they want to be able to create affordable housing for not only the workers at the resort, but also the people who work for the community of Vail. And because it's going to help them become more competitive and attract labor. And that kind of thing has gotten even more pronounced since the since the last several years, where the labor shortage has become acute in many areas. And I even read an article recently in the Wall Street Journal about, you know, resort communities like that are having all kinds of trouble. People are having to travel 2 hours or more to get to their jobs. So back to the volunteer spirit of the community, to me, this became, well, it takes care of 2 things. It provides a wonderful community life to 24 families, but it also provides locally housed people who can work in the community. And it doesn't, you don't have to volunteer to do it. Just have to let it happen. And you know, there was also some question about the developer. I didn't know the developer until the flyer showed up in our mailbox about the proposed development. So I looked online and I looked at their board of directors, and they listed their past board members. And 2 of their past board members, I recognized the names. Both were architects I worked with 30 years ago. And that's almost all I needed to know. If John Maxey and Jackie Clausen were involved in this, you know, they're no longer involved. John passed away about 5 or 6 years ago. But if they were involved in this organization, that's all I really needed to know, because they would not be involved in an organization that was anything but top notch. So to me, it's a win all the way around. I understand the zoning aspects and the locality. Like I said, this room was full of people. When the Lake Zurich Sunset development came in, this room was packed with people who were adamantly opposed, because up and down Echo Lake Road, it's all 1-2 acre properties, and it was a very tight a community that was out in the country kind of feeling. All of a sudden, we got 30 houses on 15 acres. So I get that. I get that that's an issue, but I think this gives us an opportunity to provide this community aspect and spirit to a whole group of people that wouldn't otherwise have that opportunity. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, that's the end of my list. Is there anybody else who wants to speak tonight? Okay, then seeing nobody get up, we'll close public comment, and we will move on to the public hearing. And I'll handle the public hearing. So this is a public hearing for the proposed annual budget for the Village of Lake Zurich's 2024 fiscal year, which will run January 1 through December 31, 2024. This public hearing was, as legally required, noticed in the Daily Herald on November 24th, 2023, on the front of the village website and in Benchmark's newsletter and Facebook. The proposed 2024 budget totals $78 million to fund a full-service municipality with 164 full-time employees at police and fire, public works, community development, parks and rec, finance, and administration. The village enjoys a stable financial position, and as such, this budget is presented as a balanced operational plan for the next year with a projected operating surplus of $5,000 for the general fund. The 2024 budget includes over $21 million in local infrastructure improvements and more than $1.2 million in municipal fleet and equipment upgrades for public safety and public works. Total revenues and other financial sources for 2024 are budgeted to be at $65.7 million, an increase of 10% over the 2023 budget. A copy of the proposed budget has been available for public review at Village Hall, Ela Area Public Library, and on the village website since November 17, 2023. All interested persons have been invited to attend this public hearing and provide feedback to the village board on the proposed budget. So I have a couple of recommended actions. The first one is, may I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing on the fiscal year 2023 village budget and receive into the record public comments.
So moved, Whiter.
And a second, please.
Second, Euchre.
Okay, all in favor signify with an aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Next, are there any additional staff comments before I open it up to public comments? Sarosh, anybody? No? Okay. Then, next is public comment. As a reminder, public comment is limited to 30 minutes in total and up to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have any public comments on the budget, please step to the podium, sign in, identify yourself with your name and address for the record. Are there any public comments on the budget tonight? Nope. Okay. Next item then would be the recommended action would be motion and a second to close the public hearing on the fiscal 2023 village budget. All in favor?
No motion.
I'm sorry.
So moved, Whiter.
Second, Riley.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is closed. Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. The titles on the consent agenda will be read by the village clerk and approved by a single roll call vote. Any item may be pulled from the consent agenda for discussion or separate vote by any member of the board. Clerk Johnson, would you please read the titles?
6A, approval of minutes from the village board meeting of November 20th, 2023. 6B, approval of semi-monthly warrant register dated December 4th, 2023, totaling $1,917,242.79. 6C, annual Village of Lake Zurich meeting schedule for 2024. 6D, agreement with Axon Enterprises for body-worn and squad car videos, electronic weapon systems, and digital evidence storage in the amount not to exceed $636,000. $6E, ordinance amending Title 13 comprehensive fees schedule of the Village Code to amend fines and fees related to the costs of municipal services, assigned ordinance 2023-12-536. 6F, ordinance amending Title 3 of Chapter 3 of the Village Code to increase authorized Class A1 liquor licenses for Lago Lake Zurich Partners, LLC, at 350 North Old Rand Road, assigned ordinance 2023-12-537. 6G, agreement with Lane Christensen Company for well number 12 maintenance in the amount not to exceed $131,481. 6H, ordinance authorizing disposal of surplus property owned by the Village of Lake Zurich, assigned ordinance 2023-12-538. 6I, letter of credit reduction to $64,997 for Alpha Technico at 1400 Rose Road. 6G, agreement with Flock Safety for automatic license plate reader system in the amount not to exceed $100,500. 6K, ordinance amending Chapter 6 of Title 1 of the Village of Lake Zurich Municipal Code, adopting a paid leave section for employees of the Village of Lake Zurich, assigned ordinance 2023-12-539. 6L, agreement with Stryker for patient transport and treatment equipment in the amount not to exceed $198,528.17.
Okey-doke, thank you. Are there any board questions or any discussion desired on any item, or would anyone like anything pulled for a separate vote?
I'd like either discussion or a pull of item E,
Okay,
which is the ordinance amending Title 13, the comprehensive fee schedule.
okay?
So do you want discussion or?
Yes, let's have discussion
So-
first, and then we'll decide.
So
if-
my only discussion is, I don't really understand the context in which, like some of these, it's stated that we've gone up on our fee schedule because of inflation or different costs. But then some of them, at least one particular one, is fairly more than what would inflation says, and it's motivated by something else, and that's the sale or purchase of possession of tobacco or under 21. And not that I'm a favor of that, I don't think that, it should be, we don't want under 21-year-olds being able to possess or purchase tobacco, but these fees compared to the fee of cannabis possession and use, or the fee for graffitiing our village, they don't seem proportional to me. So the first offense, right, for tobacco use is going from $25 to $250, and then $500 and $750 for more expenses. But regardless, the first offense, right, and then cannabis is only $100, $100 to $150. Same thing with alcohol, and graffiti is even less than that. It's $50 to $100. So I don't understand why, or I could use some, input on why tobacco is so much more heavily penalized than these other things, or why these other ones are not in line with the same cost structure as tobacco.
Who wants to handle this?
Chief?
Chief?
I can, yes. So the section you're referring to, the 3-2-18I, is aimed at businesses. So there's a stipulation in that section that says the business owner is responsible for their employees. And so as you note, if you look at the stricken language, $25 to $500, we have asked to have that in a set scale to go up in a sectioned manner so that business owners could receive fines for sale. And we've had some problems with different businesses in the village in which they have been fined $250 or $500 for repeat offenses. So our first ask was to have that go up to the maximum that we're allowed, a non-home rule, which is $750, but also to have it in a stepped manner, spelled out rather than just 25 to $750 or 25 to $500. So that one's aimed at businesses, not individuals.
So then, when you go to 3C, that dash 18B, and maybe it's in more text that I didn't receive or didn't look at, but that purchase or possession of alcohol and cannabis, is that targeted at businesses or individuals?
No, that's targeted at individuals.
Okay, and that's defined by the code?
Correct.
That we're applying?
Well, there's two targets though, right? There's the person who did the selling, and then there's the business as well, correct?
It's spelled out in the tobacco ordinance, is not spelled out in the alcohol ordinance.
Yeah, we've had issues in the past where we've had a clerk who has made an error in judgment, and in some cases, some of the companies actually fire that person on the spot, while the business owner, who's responsible for training those people, gets away with nothing. A little slap on the wrist, we bring them in, we talk to them, we make them understand how important their liquor licenses and other licenses are to their business. But then we get repeat offenders, and the repeat offenders get the same punishment, so, or the same fine. So we made a decision, at least on that part, to find the property owner, the business owner, to get their attention a little bit better than what we had done in the past, so.
So I guess
And the community has been up in arms, as you know, over the years for both cannabis and video gambling and CBD and everything else, so.
Okay, so I guess the only confusing part for me was the possession part, right? And what the penalties are for possession, and if the possessions for tobacco, cannabis, and alcohol for under 21-year-olds is similar, and also causing graffiti is similar or not.
I don't have an answer for that. You guys?
Just that, yeah, just that we find that we have more frequent violations and things that our staff deals with having to do with the alcohol, tobacco, cannabis, and that the graffiti penalty isn't something that we deal with a lot, but there are sanctions for cleanup of that, et cetera. I believe there's a section that corresponds to cleaning that up.
Well, do we ever even catch the graffiti guys?
It's rare.
Yeah.
And some of it is consistent with what would be applicable fines the last time some of these fines were updated, and what would be a something that would be commensurate with what we feel is fair. You know, a moving violation right now is $164. If you add court costs, it's going to be $300 and whatever dollars. So if we look at what's a local ordinance for something that's having to do with maybe alcohol or a vape possession, the $100 is what we could raise it to. But certainly if someone wants to adjust it, we're fine with that as well.
I just would want the graffiti thing to be higher than, I don't know, or equal. Okay. It just, the way it was written, it looked out of skew to me, but, okay.
So what do you want to do then? We can.
I mean, as long as we think the fines are commensurate and I guess appropriate, like in comparison with each other and make sense, like I don't think, right, we want to, I don't know what we're trying to penalize here, like, is it the possession or the sale? Like, so if the tobacco one said the sale or purchase were these fines and fees, I mean, that makes sense to me. I didn't understand, it says also or possession, right? And so the only thing I was confused about was, so possession of tobacco And I agree, we can find that, but why is it so, like, it just seemed like the fees were so much higher than possession of alcohol or cannabis. And then when I saw graffiti even at a lower fine, it just didn't make sense to me, right? So I just don't know if there's a lot of thought, and maybe I just don't understand the, you know, maybe there's more detail behind the ordinances. But that was my only concern, that it just, we hadn't really thought, you know, maybe we increased these for some reason. Maybe we just targeted the tobacco because you said, like, the stores or the violators are not responding to the current fees. But I guess as long as our fee schedule makes sense in relationship to each other, right? All of these things should not be consumed or possessed or sold by under 21, you know, or to under 21 people. So as long as that's commensurate, I guess is okay. So I don't know.
Well, relative to the thought process, we had the chief, we had Sarosh, and I think Michael Dubner going through every single one of these, so I think the thought process was complete and adequate. I don't have an answer for you on the discrepancy and the difference in the fines, so.
Okay, well then I would
What
just
do
say
you
that
wanna
next
do
time we
then?
next time we go through this, we just look at boosting, my input would be boosting the fine for graffiti, if it's a lot lower than possession of one of these other
Well,
things.
we can approve this tonight and then relook at that at some other time and make an adjustment, correct?
Correct, yeah, the fee and fine structure can be adjusted at any time. Generally, Kyle Cordell comes through and helps us go through once a year, usually at the end of the fiscal calendar year, and go through and say, is there something glaring, is there something that department heads would like to see changed? And so we try to incorporate that into a one-time annual event, but we certainly can do it at other times as well.
Yeah, and I guess as cannabis comes or doesn't come here too, we could reevaluate that too, so, okay.
Did you
Thanks.
have something, Sarosh? No? Okay, so you want to leave it in there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
I just wanted to add an item, and it's just a future thing. Looking at, hold on, let me find it, I just had it here. Motorized skateboards on public-private streets. It's not just skateboards, it's those scooters. There's a lot of new products that are out there, and I saw kids all summer near hits with cars and stuff because they're just flying all over the place. More so, not just to clarify this, but maybe as we get into spring, next spring, an educational piece for our community about the kids and the freedom that they have, because a lot of them are going to be getting them for Christmas, and they're going to wait for the weather to break, and they're going to be out in the spring, and I just don't want to see kids get hurt. And so part of that might be including that in here, but the other part might be just a general educational component that we do for our families, because they're handing them over to these 8-year-olds that don't understand the rules of the road, and they're flying all over the subdivisions.
Yes, we've seen it as well. Doesn't have to be kids, it can be adults going at
Right.
a high rate of speed
Yeah.
on scooters. You may know also that electric bikes have different thresholds and levels.
Right.
We have brochures for that to explain to people what the different ones are and which ones you need to have certain equipment and rules to use. So
Yeah.
we certainly could work on that better.
It's the future, the movie WALL-E, if you've all seen it at one point. There's no exercise in anything anymore. We've motorized it for all the kids. They don't have to exercise anymore by riding a bike.
What's it called? Wally?
WALL-E, you never saw that one?
No. Huh?
You would like that one. It's a whole, yeah, it's a cartoon, so you would enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you. I like a lot of pictures. Okay, so are we good then, everybody? Okay. Then I would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, and I need a second, please.
Second, Spacone.
Clerk Johnson, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Bobrowski,
Aye.
trustee Euchre,
Aye.
trustee Riley,
Aye.
trustee Spacone,
Aye.
trustee Weider,
Aye.
Okay, the consent agenda passes. We'll move on to old business. Trustee Bobrowski.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So this is an ordinance granting a plan unit development for Chipotle Mexican Grill at 442 South Rand Road. And in summary, Terrico Incorporated requests approval to construct a new quick-service Chipotle restaurant with a drive-through pickup lane and outdoor patio at 442 South Rand Road, located at the southeast corner of Rand Road and Route 22. The request was discussed at the November 20, 2023 Village Board meeting, but was tabled to allow the developer to address issues raised by the Village Board regarding the sidewalk along Rand Road and the location of the trash enclosure. The applicant has submitted a revised site plan indicating a new sidewalk along the Rand Road frontage of the property. The new sidewalk will require the removal of 3 existing parkway trees. However, their removal is offset by the new trees, shrubs, grasses, and other plant material proposed as part of the overall landscape plan for the project. The sidewalk condition therefore remains in place from the previously provided recommendation. The applicant has provided an exhibit showing 2 options for the location of the trash enclosure. Chipotle's previously proposed and preferred location along Rand Road, option 1, and a location interior to the site, southeast of their building, option 2. Option 2 will be close to a village water line and may require Chipotle to use similar corrals and, to use smaller corrals and have more frequent garbage pickups. But staff regard option 2 as being closer to the village board's stated expectations for this site. As its June 21, 2023 meeting, at it, the Planning and Zoning Commission provided unanimous recommendations for approval to the village board. Village staff also recommends approval of the plan unit development with the conditions for approval incorporated into the attached ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Sarosh, would you please bring us up to date as to what's transpired since 2 weeks ago?
Since 2 weeks ago, the 2 conditions were conveyed over to the applicant, the 2 conditions that are outlined in the agenda description. The applicant revised their drawings to provide the alignment of a new sidewalk along Rand Road, as well as provide a site plan showing the 2 options as discussed by Trustee Bobrowski on the plan. Option 1, which is their previously proposed location, is their preferred location, whereas option 2 addresses the request of the village board to come up with a location interior to the site. This evening we have Mr. Joe Goodman and his team here to make a brief presentation about these options and the revised plans, as well as answer any questions of the village board. Mr. Goodman, if you'd like to go to the front.
And Joe, I think we agreed to that you didn't have to go through the whole presentation.
This is a lot more brief. Do we have the PowerPoint?
They'll put it on at the back. There you go.
Good evening. Thank you for having us back this evening. Joe Goodman with Terrico, also joined with Scott DiGilio from RTM Engineering, Andrea Weisberg from Chipotle, and one of our partners, Kevin Gaisley, who's also with Terrico this evening. Based on our last meeting and subsequent discussions with staff, there are 2 items that we're discussing with the board. First, as you can see, the new site plan does include a sidewalk on Rand Road. We are not objecting to the language that's in the village ordinance. Just a quick question for staff here is that, because of the location, it does require an IDOT permit to put in the sidewalk. Obviously IDOT's notoriously slow with issuing permits, and it's my understanding that staff, or that the village will allow the issuance of their permits prior to obtaining a permit from IDOT. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Understanding IDOT's slow review process.
Thank you. Okay. The second item is the location of the trash enclosure. As you can see on the site plan, that we've identified a second option for the enclosure, closer to the building and not located along Rand Road. We're obviously limited to where we can place the enclosure because of a water main that runs through the property, as you can see on there. I think because of the location of the water main, we were forced to propose an alternate material. It's called Trex. You go to the next slide. It's a clean composite material that looks much nicer and lasts a lot longer than traditional wood planks. Here's some examples of the Trex material. The change in material would be required due to the proximity of the water main easement. A brick enclosure and its footings would be in the easement area. The Trex material would not be. And that's how tight this site really is. So, so this is the new material. Next slide. And then obviously the previous proposed location, I just wanted to share some images of, the location. We proposed a brick material that would match the black brick on the Chipotle building. And it also, you could see some of the landscape screening that was proposed. We are okay with either option, so we're happy that we were able to identify a second option here. And that's really it. Thank you again, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, board, any questions for Joe? My opinion, they've substantially adjusted according to the wishes of the board.
Yeah. I was
The
just.
Trex material isn't an issue for me. And I get the waiting for IDOT. I hope we wouldn't hold up any permits waiting for them, so. Anybody else got any?
I just wanted to say thank you for going back and looking at this. I know the last meeting was a little tough, to not hear what you wanted to hear and then have to go back and wait a couple of weeks to get moving, because I know you wanted to move forward.
But on the other hand, we did.
Yeah.
This is a good result.
No, that's what I was saying, is that I appreciate the effort and the time with staff, because I'm happy with where you're at with this. I think moving the trash location to the new location and using the trucks. I was worried about the location before and having a brick wall there, because if a car did go off, you're going to have a bad accident hitting that brick wall with that garbage enclosure where it was. Where it's at now, even with Trex material, should somebody happen to bump into it with their vehicle, it's a much easier repair than it is a brick wall if someone drove off of Rand Road and slammed into it, and Chief and both Chief's pill guards back there somewhere, they end up there with emergency rescue vehicles to go save someone, because it's a much more significant accident. So I think it's a much more amenable change, and thank you for going back and looking at that.
Thank
And
you
I
for
think
saying
I think the staff will be happier, because the walk in the winter in January, February, bringing trash out is a lot closer to the building than going all the way out to the previous location. Because I was thinking about that. I used to work fast food when I was 16 years old, and I was the guy bringing out the garbage in the winter. And when I saw that, I was like, somebody's not going to be happy. They're all going to be fighting over who's taking out the trash. So this will be a little bit better, especially dead of winter. So nice job.
Thank
Good job with staff. Good job to you guys for coming together and making it work.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else?
No, I just want to say thanks. I appreciate the accommodations.
Okay. Dan?
Yep. So, okay, then I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2023-11-536, granting a plan unit development for Chipotle Mexican Grill at 442 South Rand Road with the inclusion of garbage enclosure option 2.
And a second, please.
Second, Riley.
Clerk Johnson, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Euchre,
Aye.
Trustee Riley,
Aye.
Trustee Spicone,
Aye.
Trustee Weider,
Aye.
Trustee Bobrowski.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
When are you
you.
going to start breaking ground?
When?
When?
As soon as possible, probably spring,
Okay,
early spring.
good deal. Thanks for coming back. Thank you. Okay, we're finished with the old business. We move on to new business. Trustee Spicone.
Yeah, this should be a really popular item. An ordinance amending Title 13, Comprehensive Fee Schedule of the Village of Lake Zurich Municipal Code to increase water and sewer rates, assigned ordinance 2023-12-540. In summary, the Water and Sewer Fund is an enterprise fund and accounts for all revenues and expenditures related to the production, distribution, and collection of the village's public water supply and sanitary sewer system. Increasing cost of operations, maintenance, and capital investment in the system necessitates an increase in the user charge for this service. The 2024 budget includes $3.68 million in capital investments comprised of the continuation of water main replacement and engineering for the sanitary sewer lining. The budget also allocates $5 million to begin design engineering for bringing Lake Michigan water to Lake Zurich. Staff is recommending a 2-year water and sewer rate schedule with new rates going into effect on January 1, 2024 and January 1, 2025. In 2024, the proposed rates will increase 3% for operations, maintenance, and infrastructure improvements for the water and sewer fund, plus a $3 per 1,000 gallon charge that will start to generate a revenue source for the pending Lake Michigan water project. In 2025, the proposed rates will increase another 3% for operations, maintenance, and infrastructure improvements for the water and sewer fund, plus another $3 per 1,000 gallon charge for the Lake Michigan water rate. The Lake Michigan water rate is scheduled to increase annually by $3 per 1,000 gallons, up to $15 in 2028. The Lake Michigan water rate schedule establishes the dedicated funding source needed to support the debt payments anticipated to start in 2028. The schedule may be adjusted in the future to reflect non-home rule sales taxes or other revenues that may be applied to the project, as well as any cost savings realized during project implementation. I think it's important that I read that part again, so I'm going to do it one more time. The Lake Michigan water rate schedule establishes the dedicated funding source needed to support the debt payments anticipated to start in 2028. This schedule may be adjusted in the future to reflect non-home rule sales taxes or other revenues that may be applied to the project, as well as any cost savings realized during project implementation.
Okay, thank you for reading that twice.
Yep.
We've talked about this over and over again extensively. So Amy, Mike, or Ray, anything else to add at this point? Okay, and then we open it up to the board for questions. I know you've had all your questions pretty much answered. You got any new ones? Okay. How about down here? Nobody?
No, just to reiterate that this is starting to build up a savings account to pay for the bill that'll come in 2028. Am I correct on that, Amy?
Perhaps I
Or
can.
Ray?
Sure. So it's kind of a combination. We're
Right.
gearing up for the anticipated debt service payments in 2028, but we will also help pay down the bills as we go over the next few years. So part of the funds that we collect will go toward that $5 million that we've allocated to design engineering, with the idea is that if we're paying for things as we go, hopefully when we come to the final project cost, we've realized savings, we've paid for some things along the way, and we're able to reduce the amount that we'll actually be financing over the remaining 30 years, and thus creating savings and hopefully rate reduction opportunities when we get to 2028.
So this is a proactive measure to get us there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I know that we've got everything related to Lake Michigan water on the village website, and it's been on Facebook, and it's been one presentation after another, and it's a ton of information, difficult to understand at times, but if anybody has any questions, I would appreciate it if you wouldn't address them to the board or to the staff on Facebook. Pick up the phone, call me, call Ray, call Mike, call any of the trustees. We'll get you an answer for any question you have regarding Lake Michigan water. So you're more than likely to get that answer that way than you are for us to pick something off of Facebook. So.
And CLC Jawa's website even has a page, link on there dedicated to Lake Zurich water FAQs.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to go to the CLC Jawa website as well, there is an FAQ section there that's dedicated just to the Lake Zurich questions. So if you, it's an additional place to go and look.
Okay, no more questions, then, Mark?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2023-12-540, amending Title 13 entitled Comprehensive Fee Schedule of the Village of Lake Zurich Municipal Code to increase water and sewer rates.
Okay, second, please.
Second, Whiter.
And Clerk Johnson, please call the roll.
Trustee Riley,
Aye.
Trustee Spicone,
Aye.
Trustee Weider,
Aye.
Trustee Bobrowski,
Aye.
Trustee Euchre.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That's just another step in the process, so we move forward. Next item, B, Trustee Riley.
Yes. So the ordinance of the annual budget of the Village of Lake Zurich for all corporate purposes for the fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2024, ending December 31st, 2024. At the November 18th, 2023 Committee of the Whole Budget Workshop meeting, Mayor Poynton and the trustees reviewed with village staff the proposed budget for fiscal year 2024, which begins January 1st. The fiscal year 2024 budget is presented as a balanced operational plan for the next year with a budgeted operating surplus of $5,000 for the general fund. Expenditures in the general fund next year are expected to total $35.6 million, ending 2024 with a 37% fund balance. The 2024 budget includes a reduction in the village bond debt by $3.3 million. 10 years ago, this bond level debt was at $34 million. At the end of next year, this total debt is projected to be at $18.7 million. This is an impressive reduction of 45% over the village debt over the past decade, a significant accomplishment that allows AAA bond ratings and lower interest rates for taxpayers. Among all village funds, the 2024 budget totals $78 million to fund a full-service municipality with 164 full-time employees. This budget blueprint was created with an eye of sustaining multi-year progress towards strategic goals and includes over $21 million in local infrastructure improvements and more than $1.2 million in municipal fleet equipment upgrades for public safety and public works.
Ray, Amy, anything to add?
No, we appreciate your feedback and input all along through this process. We hopefully that it reflects your priorities and those for the community at large. Just to comment is that the rather outsized expenditures for infrastructure and equipment is, as we talked about previously, kind of a catch-up of multi-year phasing of projects and deferments of things kind of piling up. Hopefully, we're able to knock some of those bigger projects out and acquire the vehicles that we need to keep our services running. Be happy to answer any questions. So thank you.
A couple of comments that I want to add. Again, this has been another challenging financial year for the village and a challenging process. Nobody is getting everything that they wanted or everything that they needed. It's a fluid document. Changes will occur. The 20-year CIP, which is, in my mind, the backbone of this budget, one of the backbones of this budget, will be adjusted accordingly. And some things may have to be reprioritized, which we'll do as we go along. Budget updates and amendments will be provided as needed periodically by staff. The proposed budget is and has been on the website, and the public has had multiple opportunities to comment before the actual vote is going to be taken tonight to adopt the budget. So, Trustee Riley, or I'm sorry, any other comments by any of the board members at this point? Okay, Trustee Riley.
Looking for a motion to approve ordinance 2023-12-541, adopting the annual budget of the Village of Lake Zurich for all corporate purposes for the fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2024.
I'll make that motion, Euchre.
And second, please.
Second, Whiter.
Whiter, okay. And would you please call the roll?
Trustee Spicone,
Aye.
Trustee Wyder,
Aye.
Trustee Bobrowski,
Aye.
Trustee Euchre,
Aye.
Trustee Riley.
Aye.
All righty, budget passes. We're on to next year already. That's the end of our new business for tonight. We'll move on to the president's report. And I have a somewhat lengthy one, but it's all related to good stuff, all to Miracle on Main Street. We had Miracle on Main Street this past week. A great crowd. If you like Main Street, you can thank the Public Works guys and Bonnie Caputo. Is Bonnie here tonight? No, she's not here tonight. And her staff. She's still recovering. I want to go through a few of the things that made this happen. First off, we have a brand new Christmas tree in the middle of town. That was graciously donated by a local family. We've added more lights to the trees, and if you've seen what we did at Breezewall Park, it's a new holiday display of trees wrapped in lights, fun inflatables, lighted structures, tunnels, tree uplighting, opened and lit up from dusk to 10 p.m. Through, I think, probably the first of the year. This was sponsored by the Sanctuary of Lake Zurich, Lago Restaurant, which is not open yet, but Fabio Viviani donated money for that. Martin Enterprises, Heating and Air Conditioning, and Party Plus Events. As magical as the holiday season is, these special community events just don't magically appear. So I'm going to thank a bunch of people here who helped put this on, and as usual, I'm going to start with Santa and Mrs. Claus, who did a great job, Marty Jalove, Doug Wheeler, and Sue Garvins. Thanks to our carolers from our local schools, Seth Payne, Isaac Fox, and the Cricket Theater, Trustee Mary Beth's little company of little theater company did a great job. And the major sponsors, our gold sponsors were Moore Orthodontics, Jim and Kathy Iverhouse of Lake Zurich Tire and Auto. Our silver sponsors were LRS Waste Management, Bright Horizons Early Education and Preschool, and Baird and Warner Realtors. Our bronze sponsors were the Lake Zurich Lions Club and the Lake Zurich Area Chamber of Commerce. Additional thank yous to the Rotary Club, Lake Zurich Rotary Club, the Lake Zurich High School National Honor Society and Interact Club, and our featured charity, Young at Heart Senior Pet Adoptions. In addition to the many volunteers, the vendors, the artisans, the local nonprofits, the Main Street businesses and vendors who've been key supporters of this event. Thank you also to the neighbors on Kincaid and Oak Street who organized and decorated their area, enhancing the sleigh ride route. Last but not least, big thanks to Public Works. Those guys did a yeoman job. They had a water main break overnight that day, and were able to get everything set up and taken down, so we had the street reopened up pretty quick. Village staff and Park and Rec staff of Bonnie Caputo, Jenna Stanonik, Elke Kedzlewski, Julie Bradley, and Marissa Boynton, all their volunteers did an amazing job. They were Johnny on the spot. Public Works, again, police, fire, administrative staff. Even Ray Keller was selling libations.
Tickets for libations.
Tickets to the libations, yeah. And again, to the Board of Trustees for supporting our endeavors to bring the people the special events that they want. And also to our entertainment groups, DJ Dave Potash, the reindeer provided by A Zoo for You, sleigh rides provided by County Line, the Peace Lutheran Bell Choir, the Lake Zurich Academy of Performing Arts and Molly Johnson, the Lake Zurich High School Blue Notes Show Choir, Nick Jucknellis and the Lake Zurich High School Bear Voices for their performances. It was a major community undertaking. And also thanks to Milo Salazar, who represented all the kids and helped Santa and I light the tree. So I just want to say we wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, joyous Kwanzaa, a blissful and generous Ramadan, and of course, Festivus for the rest of us. So anyway, that's the end of my report for tonight. So we move on to, I believe it is trustee reports. Are there any trustee reports tonight? No? Staff reports, anybody? Bill?
Yeah, I was just going to mention something. So I know on new business, A and B, those are very big items, and I do want to call out, hats off to the staff for folks who weren't fully involved in the process. You know, staff were very diligent with the taxpayers' dollars. They were focused on strategic goals for the village, and then put a focus also on investment in the future in terms of what we're looking for from our community and what feedback they receive. So big hats off. I know it's a lot of work, and I think you guys did a great job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, any staff reports? I'm sorry, Chief.
Yes, this week, the Lake Zurich Police Department is going through an on-site assessment having to do with our accreditation status. So that's through the Commission for Law Enforcement Agencies. We currently have a police chief from Clinton, Connecticut, in town, assessing our policies and procedures to make sure that we're doing what we say we do. We're part of a national program that's voluntary that less than 5% of the police departments across the nation participate in. And there's a portal that the public can make comment on. It's on the website. It's been pushed out in benchmarks on our social media pages, et cetera, if anyone would like to comment on services provided by the police department. And we're hoping for good things. We've been accredited since 2009 and go through this process on an annual basis and then have an assessor come and visit us every fourth year and ride with the officers, talk to stakeholders, talk to the community, staff members, elected officials, et cetera. So just wanted to make sure the public knows that they're welcome to comment on those avenues.
Okay, thank you. Ray?
Just a reminder that our Planning and Zoning Commission meeting this month has been moved up a week. So instead of being on the third Wednesday, it'll be on the second Wednesday, so a week from this Wednesday, 7 o'clock, December 13th. Thank you.
Okey-doke. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, that concludes our business for tonight. We will be adjourning to executive session, brief executive session, call for the purpose of 5 ILCS 120/2C21, approval of executive session minutes, and 5 ILCS 120/2C5, purchase or lease of real estate. There will be no voting action or board business discussed after closed session, so the adjournment of closed session will be the final adjournment and the end of the meeting. So may I have a motion to adjourn tonight's regular meeting to executive session, and a second, please?
So move, William.
Second Bobrowski.
Who did it? Who?
Riley.
Riley and Dan, okay. Clerk Johnson, please call the roll.
Trustee Weider,
Aye.
Trustee Bobrowski,
Aye.
Trustee Euchre,
Aye.
Trustee Riley,
Aye.
Trustee Spacone.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We are adjourned to executive session. Thank you.
She goes in order, it's just when